Hey, welcome to Wisdom Wednesdays, sponsored by Wounded Women Rising. So today, let's get started with a bit of a grounding practice just to shove off everything that's happened today or this week or even last week that you're still ruminating about. And let's just enter into this moment. So I'd like you to close your eyes if you're comfortable doing that. If not, just pick a spot that you can concentrate on, whether it be a spot on the wall behind your computer, behind your phone, something, a picture that you like, whatever. Just focus on one thing. If you close your eyes, it's easier to focus on your breath. So if your eyes are closed, even if they're not, I'd just like you to take a slow breath in to the count of 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's hold it for 2 and release. Through the next breath, I would just like you to place your hand on your heart and notice its steady rhythm. With each inhale, feel the peace moving in. With each exhale, let go of the weight that you have been carrying. This is your time. This is our time. Together, let's fall into this moment of wisdom and warmth. Take one last deep inhale. Hold it, and then release. And you can now open your eyes, and we'll get started. So today, Judy and I would like to talk about the chapters in our lives that have shaped us, but not specifically about the chapters. Today, we'd like to explore how those chapters can become roots of our wisdom. So this isn't about revisiting any trauma, but it's about reframing the past as fertile ground for growth. So we often hear about, live in the moment, be present in the moment. But a moment is so short. And to be present in the moment, although it's good and it keeps us grounded and aware and awake, those moments are strung together. So what does it really, really mean to sit in the moment?
Well,
What
we
does it,
know.
go ahead.
hmm Yeah, I was just, as we think of this, so often our mind takes us to things that are in the past. We ruminate about the past or we worry about the future. But right now, in this exact moment, there isn't a past and there isn't a future. It's just in the now. And right now, we're safe. All is well in this moment. Okay, Rose, where are we going to take that? Go from there.
Well, when we talk about sitting in the moment, it's more of an awareness of where I am right now. What am I feeling right now? Am I aware of who's with me, who's around me, or am I constantly scanning behind that person? I do know that, a trauma response, in most women is that scanning, where you walk into the room and the first thing that you look for is another exit or the
Yeah.
bathrooms. Do I know where those are? Because those are two escape routes. So if things get too uncomfortable, I'm feeling threatened, do I have a place I can go? And how do I get there? But when you're in the moment, think of being in a group of other women and we're chatting. Are you part of the conversation? Are you listening to that conversation? Are you taking what's said and thinking, oh, that's interesting, or maybe that's something I need to chat with somebody about, or do I have something to add to the conversation? That's all about being in the moment. Again, it's not thinking about the past, it's not thinking about my to-do list, and it's not thinking about and worrying about what's in the future. It's about
Mm.
being absolutely present. And for a woman who's been through domestic abuse and violence, that's really hard to do, is to be present in the moment because we're hyper aware. And that's
Yeah.
not something that you lose really quickly. That may be with you for the rest of your life. But again, that comes down to accepting that that's the way it is, that I'm hyper alert. That's fine. It's great. It will serve you very, very well.
Yeah. It can be a gift unto itself
Hmm.
if when we don't let it rule us and we just recognize, hey, we happen to be very sensitive people.
Yes.
We
Yeah.
we hear things, we pick up on emotions, we're aware of intricacies of how people say things.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
um, let's not think of it as, oh, because XYZ happened, I am in this way.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
that's an acceptance thing. And also, um, we often say is how are we wired? Well, it's not only the wiring, it's the current that's running through that wiring.
Expand on that. Explain your thought
So
process
what
a
that
little bit.
means is when we um, like when we're when we're in a situation and the situation is tense, we'll be picking up the tension. But we can also say, take a moment, do those breathing exercises, bring our central nervous system to a place of calm, and then we're not resonating as high. We're not resonating at that high frequency. We become calm and calmer. And this is something that we teach. This is something that we have learned. Rose and I both have learned these skills and ways of doing this so that we don't always have to be in our hypervigilant way, even when being hypervigilant is often our first mode of operation.
Hmm. Yeah, because we all default to something for sure.
Mhm.
Yeah. So sitting in the moment is also knowing the difference between truth and expectation. So it's less about perfection and it's more about presence. And once you're aware of your presence, it becomes really easy to be in the moment. So we're also going to reframe the past. The past isn't always bad. There's always good things in our past as well as the bad things. We just tend to major on the crap that happened to us. But what if we reframed the past as being rich soil and not always bad, not always crap, you know. Great things grow in crap. Like, I mean, the fields.
Garlic will, garlic will grow in a rocky garden. I got proof of it in the backyard.
Yeah. So, like, I mean, think of it. Our past experiences always teach us something. Sometimes it's just how to survive, and that's a good skill to have. Don't think of
And it reminds
always,
you that you're resilient,
yes, yes,
like we've been through some stuff,
been
but
through,
here we are smiling.
yeah. So it's not always about, um, my past was so horrible and look what's been done to me. And that hurts so much, I'll never get through it, or I'll never get past it. Not so. There's a lesson buried in there. Look at your resilience. Look at your strength. Look at your strength. You're still here. You may have made a move out of the situation that, um, was so shitty. But look at you. You're still here. And you're willing to make a change in your life so that you don't have to stay there.
Yeah. And you're willing to be willing because sometimes we think the change is so scary,
Mhm.
but but I'm willing to be willing to learn. I'm willing to be willing to change. And that's like, if your soil is really like clay, all right, like, and so when I'm talking soil, we're talking like how your heart feels, how your soul feels, your and our thoughts are so connected to how our heart and our soul is because we don't want to be hard-hearted. And when you've been hurt, it's easy to become really hard-hearted and say, I won't trust again. I I won't love again. You know, I have been hurt so much, so bad. I'm not ever going to put myself in that position again.
Still have days where I think that.
But if in that we can say there might be room for love, love may look a little different. I will love myself.
That's where it
I
starts.
would, yeah, and I will know that I am lovable because God loves us. He
Hmm.
really does.
Yeah.
And he tells us that. So if you think of your heart of clay, like it's hard, it's the rain falls down and it rolls off of it. You when it gets wet, it's like slippery. So things just like slip away and no seed can plant into it because it's just too rough and too hardened. So if you say to yourself, I'm gonna allow to have some holes poked in to my hardened heart. I'm going to just rest with the fact that I am not trusting right now. I am not, uh, I'm not willing to um, open myself up to anyone else because I need to take this time to heal my heart.
Hmm. Yeah.
And then just be with that. That's okay. Be with that. And then
But look at what
slowly
comes out
cracks
of
will
that.
come.
Yeah. But look what comes out of that. Strength, empathy, and compassion,
Compassion.
resilience. You know, those are all those are all the fruits of those seeds that get sown when we go through difficult times. Nobody understands what a woman goes through who's been in a domestic violence and abuse. It doesn't have to
Manipulated,
be domestic abuse. It could be familial.
gaslit.
whatever. Nobody knows that, but you do. And because you know that firsthand, you're able to be empathetic with another woman and say to her, I get it. I understand. I've been there. And those simple words give comfort to another woman who's struggling and thinking she's losing her freaking mind because she can't figure out what's going on.
And feeling alone,
Yeah,
alone, ashamed, and unrooted, ungrounded. I don't know
yeah,
where to go. I don't know who to talk to. This is too much for me to carry.
that's
And
right.
then we crack. We
Yeah,
crack.
but
But
let's put a positive spin instead of,
yeah,
just you going down that
but we
rabbit
crack
hole
and
of the
then
crap that
but
happened.
then we open up. That's right.
Yes.
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 And then the good can come in.
And that's where we learn about ourselves. We've been through it. Okay. We're much stronger now. Like, I mean, honestly, after after I exited my first marriage because of abuse, and I'd spent 10 years raising my children before I got into another serious relationship. But yet, I thought I had it together and I was solid and I knew who I was. But I still got into another relationship where somebody else was constantly trying to change me. And I slipped down that rabbit hole like Alice in Wonderland and ended up in a world I had no idea where I was or what I was doing. And I thought I was going crazy until one day I woke up and it was, I can't do this anymore. This is not about us anymore. This is not about him anymore. It has to be about me. And that's when the tide shifted for me. And I put a lot of time and effort into figuring out who I was and doing research and getting coaching on what type of person I want to be and how do I get there. So from that experience, even though I thought I was a strong woman and I knew who I was and I knew what I wanted, I still ended up in a situation that was not an ideal marriage. That doesn't make me a bad person. It doesn't make me stupid and it doesn't make me naive. It's just I bought what I was sold at the very beginning of that relationship. So, you know, those are the experiences that give me wisdom because it forced me to look in another direction to find myself again. So think of it as all storms in our life nourish the ground. Now, it may leave marks, but it also leaves that soil very fertile. And that's where growth happens.
Yeah. Yeah. After the hailstorm.
Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. After the tornadoes, even after these forest fires. And this year, look at all the forest fires that have happened.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it changes us if we are willing, if we are willing
Yeah.
to be changed.
Exactly.
And 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 that's where we have to pause and say, I can't go on the way I am. I may not know the path to take, but I'm asking for the path. I'm asking for the wisdom that I can recognize where I need to go. Who do I need to talk to?
Mhm.
What do I need to do?
Yeah.
And I'm asking for my heart and my head and 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 your divinity, that spirit part of you, to really come forward Because so often, especially when we're in abusive situations, we wear all these different masks.
Mhm.
You know,
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
be the professional businesswoman in the office. We be the homemaker. We be the wife, the all attending wife. You know that you daren't let your husband in that those kind of relationships if he's at all uncomfortable or it's our fault. So we're again, you know, making sure that everything, all the I's are dotted and T's are crossed and the house is perfect before he comes home so that there's no reason for him to fly off the top. But it's about him, not about you, you
Yeah.
know. But
Hmm.
we get so used to doing that, we forget who who is this joyful person inside me?
Yeah. That's that
Where,
self-discovery, discovering who that person is. Yeah.
yeah, what brings me joy? What, you know, where does my love lie? Where where is my home? And I'm talking about the home like in your heart home, where I am content. And
Hmm.
you will find it. We absolutely know for a fact that you will find it. And when you do, you will be greater than before. It's an expansion. It will be better than what you remembered before because you have all this wisdom and because you have had experiences. Like I firmly believe I am way more compassionate now than I ever was in, 1980, 85. I was married in 86 the first time, and 2003 was when I left that relationship. That woman was in that relationship, I love this woman more.
Yeah. Hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So in all difficult moments, we always have a choice. And when you
Mm.
boil it down, it usually comes to only two choices. The first one is to ask for the wisdom.
Yeah.
And the second choice is to slip into resentment, revenge, or rumination. The three deadly R's: resentment,
Yeah.
revenge, and rumination. Or ask for the wisdom.
Hmm.
It's all about determining in advance the woman I want to be. And that makes your choice so much easier. So I can be a woman who values integrity and compassion and um, you name the value that you want. When I decide that in advance, then my choice is always to go to wisdom. And it's always to repel the three deadly R's: resentment, revenge, and rumination.
Yeah, it's like they pull you down.
Oh, yeah.
It's it's or if you think of it in a web, you get all bound up in that, and then we can't see. But you choose the wisdom. It's like you change the station that you're listening to on the radio. Not that anybody listens to the radio anymore, but
Yeah.
you put on a different spot
Different
station.
playlist. Yeah.
So that which is going into your mind, okay, those thoughts are fertilizer, like the good stuff,
Hmm. Hmm.
the lifting stuff, the enlightening, because that which we listen to and that which we allow into our homes and into our hearts and into our minds affects us.
Mm, yeah. There's that song that we teach our children. Um, Careful little eyes what you see, careful little ears what you hear, careful little mouth what you say. Um, it's so true because that does affect us. Like everything we think, what we allow in, um, comes out. If you allow, just for example, I'm not sure it's a good example, but it's an example that I can come up with just like this. If you're watching TV shows like Criminal Minds or something like that, and you're kind of stuck in all of the bad stuff that happens between people, you're going to start thinking of other people as always being like that. And you're going to start
Mhm.
treating people, just stay over there because I don't want you near me because you're going to hurt me. Instead of allowing people into your life who can actually help build you up.
Yeah.
So,
And you can be, and you can also be a light unto them.
yes.
You can,
Hmm.
sometimes there are words that come to us and we wouldn't have even thought of them ourselves, but in that moment, they are necessary and needed to be said, to be spoken, to be shared. Have you ever had that situation where you're having a
So
conversation with somebody? But
explain
it
that a little
happens
bit
here.
more. Yeah.
Uh, when you, it often happens when you're with another person um, and you're having like a deep-hearted conversation, and you like these words of wisdom just come, and you share them, and it feeds you, but it also feeds the other person.
Okay.
You
Yeah.
know,
Hmm.
it's not always necessarily my understanding, but it's just, and I know why that is, because if you are, like you just said, it's what we allow in to our hearts and where you train. Okay. So if we take it to a physical aspect, um, if you're used to training your muscles and there comes a time when you need to lift that really heavy bag of groceries, okay, it's not going to be hard for you to do that. If we're training our thoughts so that we have self discipline, patience, kindness, generosity, um, willingness to serve, humility, that's what's going to come out.
Hmm. Yep. Yeah. And it won't be hard for you to do
Mhm.
because
Yeah.
you've decided that that's what you want. That's who you want to be. You want to be a woman with all of these qualities, and that's what comes out. Yeah. So take a moment right now and think about what has the journey you've been on so far taught you about resilience. If you're a person who journals, this is a really helpful exercise to actually write out what has this journey taught me about resilience. It's maybe you haven't even seen yourself as being resilient, but you are. And even naming that provides you with a measure of strength you didn't know you had, or you never acknowledged. So write
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
out.
It's like this is a beautiful, we often talk about, our lives being a garden. And this is a plant that is growing in your garden, that is blooming, and that's the plant of resilience. Storms come, and it pops back up again. You
Mhm.
know what? You have a hard night, something gets said to you, you're hurting, you might have lost sleep that night, but the next morning you have to get up. You have people counting on you. and you have the strength to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And you get up and that's resilience. When we want to like crawl back into our shell and just throw the covers over our head and we don't,
We carry on.
we get up. That's resilience.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, women, you don't know how strong you are.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then we paint our lipstick on and smile at the world.
Smile at the world and hide what's going on behind closed doors or behind our own facade here. Mhm.
But they're too, when you need to have somebody to share that stuff with, that's one of the reasons we're here.
Yeah. Mhm.
Somebody who gets it.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So,
And then we think about like our kindness and our compassion, right, Rose? Our
mhm.
kindness and our compassion grows out of the hardship.
Yeah.
If you've never been exposed to being hungry, would you know what it is for someone who is really hungry? Would you know what it really feels like to have that stomach growling so much? Or beyond that, where you just don't, you're so for hungry for love, hungry for attention, hungry for respect. And this is where our compassion comes out of.
Mm-hmm. So, and it's helpful to acknowledge that the traits of kindness and compassion actually grow out of hardship. They don't grow out of the good times, the happy times and all of that. They don't. They honestly grow more out of hardship than they do the good times. You know, we don't give ourselves enough credit for the amount of courage we actually possess. A woman who's been through traumatic circumstances like domestic violence, abuse, we could name 100 things of traumatic circumstances. We don't give ourselves enough credit for the courage it took to leave that situation, get ourselves up in the morning, take care of someone else. If we have children, taking care of someone else. We don't give ourselves credit. Take, a woman who's just lost her spouse through a tragic accident. This really affects her. And it takes a lot of courage to plan that funeral. It takes a lot of courage to stand there in the receiving line in the funeral home during visitation. It takes a ton of courage to stand there and do that. It takes
And then to go back to the empty house afterwards.
afterwards and, you know, try to deal with all of the stuff that comes after that. It takes such a tremendous amount of courage. So it's great. It's one of those things that until we acknowledge how much courage that took, we will always default into that was such a hard time for me, and I barely got through it. And, life still sucks. And we'll go into that negative part. But when you acknowledge the amount of courage it actually took to get up out of bed and take those covers off your head, until you acknowledge that, you don't know how strong you are. You don't know the amount of courage you have. And that builds your self-esteem. That builds your self-worth. That creates that drive to discover who you are.
And the momentum. I mean,
That's
it
right.
takes courage even to handle all the paperwork,
Yeah, it
you
does.
know,
Yeah.
that and focus of mind.
Hmm.
But then you do that, you handle that little piece, and then and applaud yourself for doing it. That's the other
Absolutely.
thing we forget to do, to
Hmm.
tell ourselves, hey,
Well
good
done.
job. You
Hmm.
did it. Well done.
And go
You
ahead,
know, when you
pat
work
yourself on
out,
the back. When did that
yeah,
become a bad thing to do?
yeah, yeah. Don't be proud. No, you be proud,
Proud.
girl.
Yes.
You be
Yes.
darn proud. You have
Yeah.
you not proud in the sense of vanity and arrogance, but proud of the confidence that comes from that. I did it.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I went through court twice.
Hmm.
I fought the good fight
Yep.
so that I because I had to. Okay.
Mhm. Yep.
And no matter what it was that you guys have been through, and yeah, it can be dark and scary,
Yeah.
but recognize yourself, recognize your courage, and celebrate it,
Yes. Oh, yeah.
and wear it like a badge of honor.
Yeah. Hmm. Yeah. You've earned
And
it.
then
You have earned it.
show the light.
Yeah.
Yes. And
Yes.
and we show the
Stronger.
light to the next one. That's right. Yes.
Yeah. It's I'm a big one, and you will always hear me say things like jot it down, write it down, put it in a journal, do something with it. Just get it out of here and write it down. And a good framework for this is when you're writing it down is when something has happened to you. Um, you can say, well, after the fact, this is going to happen after the fact. Okay, you can use this framework. Number one is this is what happened to me. And then this is what I learned. So, for example, this is what they did to me. I learned to walk away.
Mm,
I learned to say no. I learned to ask for what I need. And I learned to act on what I need. I
mm,
forgive and I am grateful for. And when you work your way through this, you learn so much about yourself. And the result of this is the strength that comes out of that because you acknowledged what happened to you. You have acknowledged what you've learned. You have forgiven. Forgiving does not mean acceptance. Forgiveness releases you from revenge. And then you acknowledge what you're grateful for. Um, my ex-husband's father was abusive to him. And he always said that later, much later on in his life, that he was grateful that he lived through that period of time in his life because he learned how strong he is. I never quite understood that until I had to live through the abuse that I suffered at his hands. I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy. I really wouldn't. But I learned a lot about myself through that period of time. And I actually learned that I can stand on my own, that I didn't need a man to take care of me, that I could take care of myself, and that I could actually take care of my two children at the same time. So, like, there's lessons learned. And then we forgive, and we find out something that we're grateful for. And you were grateful for the lesson that I learned through that. That lesson gave me strength, let me know how strong I was. So I really, really encourage you to write things down from your heart. Number one, acknowledge what has happened to you. What have you lived through? And then
Yeah.
write
Without
on.
going, yeah, yeah, like
Don't go
it's
into
almost like
detail.
you,
Don't go
that's
into
right.
detail
Take
about
take
it.
take the bird's eye view of it
Hmm.
rather than
Don't go into
spiraling
details.
down into it.
No.
Yeah, yeah. So, yep, yep. I went through I went through an operation that was not even needed.
Hmm.
Okay. 135 women. And I think there was 53 of us that didn't even have the issue
You're getting into
that was
details,
supposed to be
Judy.
addressed.
You're
That's
getting
right.
into
Yeah, that's
details.
the,
High
yeah.
level,
So,
high
yeah.
level.
So
I
high
went through
level.
this.
So through something that wasn't needed.
Yeah.
Okay. The blessing in that came from the class action lawsuit that happened at a time when it was, when that income was needed, it was provided.
There you go. Yeah.
So there's the blessing of it. And the other part of it is the forgiving and not holding on to all that anger. You forgive it, forgive it, forgive it. Because it doesn't hurt the other person, it only hurts you.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. And then what are
Yeah.
you grateful for? Always,
Um,
always answer, what am I grateful for?
what am I grateful for?
I
I
am
am
grateful for.
grateful for the resilience and for a body that heals
Hmm.
and the strength that can come back.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So everything you've been through
Mhm.
is part of the wisdom that you now hold. None of
Yeah.
it has been lost. You may not see it because you're focusing on the crap, on the soil, on the manure, but there is wisdom that comes out of that. So, like, our point today is acknowledge the wisdom that's come out of what you've lived through. You're much stronger than you ever thought possible. You're much wiser than you ever thought possible. But you're also much kinder because of it. You have more compassion because of it, and you have empathy because of it. That makes you,
And yeah, and yeah, and faith that the future will be better, that you can
yeah,
create a future that's better,
yep,
that create the future that you desire.
exactly. Yeah. And you can do that. So you've got it all. You are the whole package. There's nothing missing from you at all. So this coming week, notice when your story becomes a source of strength for someone else, whether it's through patience, encouragement, or a simple presence, a listening ear, an arm around somebody's shoulder, a nod of your head, a smile that could make somebody else's day. So as we wrap up, I just want to give you a blessing. I've been ending a lot of these Wisdom Wednesdays with a blessing, and I'd really like to continue that. And I'd like you to take this and go forward in this week until we meet again. So just close your eyes, and may the stories that shaped you no longer feel heavy, but instead flow like clear water, nourishing your spirit. May the wounds of yesterday soften into wisdom, and may that wisdom light your path forward. You are not defined by what you've endured. You are defined by the strength, the kindness, and the courage that have blossomed within you. Go with grace and carry your wellspring of wisdom into the week ahead. So next week, we'll be back again, and we look forward um, to joining you then.
And please give us any comments if you found this to be of value, if you found, no, this made me think, or let us know what you experienced, and more importantly, let us know what you would like to have addressed,
Mhm.
because we are here to serve you with
Absolutely.
humble hearts and love for you.
Yeah. Okay. So bye for now, and we'll see you next week.
Be well.